Terence Crawford and the rest of Team Bud have decided to reveal some information regarding his VADA testing. Check it out right here. And he's showing you, yeah, he's a clean athlete. But did you peep the little discrepancy? He's left some room for suspicion. And we're going to tackle it in this video. Stay tuned.
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know I'm lying.
Yo, what's good, Boxing Talk family? Welcome back to your favorite boxing news channel, Dr. Boxing Talk. We are back for another YouTube video. Banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I don't know what time it is. The doctor's in the house, man. So check this out. But before we get to it, let's go ahead and smack that like button for your boy. Let's do it together. Appreciate it. It does a lot to keep us going and growing on this YouTube platform. But let's get right to the meat and potatoes, man. Terence Bud Crawford, or a representative of Terence, or somebody on his team, have apparently thought it was appropriate to release and disclose some information in regards to his VADA testing, showing that he's a clean athlete, because there's been some rumors and rumblings about him putting on a lot of weight, bulking up, and people are thinking like, hold on, man. Maybe he's on some of that SNAC pack, you feel me, on the little program, and he's on some supplements that may not be too legal. So people are questioning the legality of his transformation, right? And so he's responded like this. Now, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all, like I always do anyway, but I didn't want to make this video, man. I talked about this in my live yesterday. Shout out to everybody that pulled up. Big up to all the Boxing Talk family members, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all. But we talked about this yesterday because I thought I didn't really think it was a big deal, you know, but I'm going to talk about it. And I noticed a little discrepancy. I want to say I was one of the first ones to notice it. But I don't really, I'm going to be honest, man, I'm indifferent when it comes to things like this. I know it's a slow week of boxing, so there's going to be a lot of people that are conjuring up some nonsense and stuff like that. But I have to be honest, this does look a little suspicious because of your affiliation with Victor Conte. So when you do stuff like this, you have to make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's. So what it is that the top date is referencing 2024, but the sample collection date is referencing 2025. Now, to me, it's a simple explanation, man. I think that the top of the letterhead is referencing the date that is after the date that was sampled, right? So to me, that means that's when the letter was actually written up and possibly delivered to Terence Crawford, with the June date towards the sample collection on the 13th of 2025 being when they actually, that's a sample that they collected. That's the date of the sample collection, like as it says there, right? So I think that it was just a simple mistake of actually accidentally writing 2024 instead of 2025. I mean, I've done that before. Like, come on, people, let's be serious. I know we're deep into 2025 in the summer, but I've caught myself accidentally doing that. Of course, it's going to happen more often at the top of the year, but sometimes you accidentally write the wrong year. That's all I think it is. And I'm going to tell you why even reinforce that idea, to further reinforce that idea. I think that is because if you notice, the date was a week after the sample collection. So to me, it just makes sense that they wrote this letter on that date and just accidentally put the wrong year, because it was a week after, or a week of some change after, when they actually collected the sample. Now, I want to say this though. I'm not mad at anybody who's suspicious. I'm not saying you're out of line. I'm not calling you dumb. I'm not calling you anything condescending towards you, because when you are somebody who has a criminal past or something questionable about you, then you have to make sure that you're extra careful. That's why your reputation as a person is so important, because sometimes your reputation precedes you, and because you have a reputation that is nefarious in nature, questionable in nature, suspicious in nature, even criminal in nature, then people are going to see some things and be like, hold on, I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. So maybe somebody else that doesn't have such a past, they may get the benefit of the doubt and be like, okay, bet, you know, it's just a mistake. But because you're questionable and people think that you're already bypassing the test and stuff like that, I'm talking about Victor Conte right now, not Terence Bud Crawford. Because you have a person who has a past that is very a lot of things happen in the gray area. Some people just think that you're totally untrustworthy. Then you have to be extra careful. And this is your fault because your reputation. Some people would give you the benefit of the doubt if it wasn't for your checkered past. Now, I will say this. The reason why I think it was a mistake is because Terence Bud Crawford has never failed a test, to my knowledge. He's always tested negative, never tested positive. So that's all I'm going to go with. I don't really have time for the conspiracy theories. I don't really indulge in those. I don't enjoy those. I just like to deal with the facts and disseminate that information as I see appropriate. You feel me? So with this, I understand people's questioning it, but I just disagree. I think it was a mistake. However, I will say this, you know, It's just like with the Hamza Shiraz stuff, right? Hamza Shiraz didn't take off the hand wraps of his left hand, but hasn't, you know, in the New York State Athletic Commission, you know, they're very stringent, and, you know, you should have a team representative there when people are wrapping up their hands. Just so Edgar Belong and his team should have been there to witness the hand wrapping. That doesn't mean that they can't get something past you still, but, you know, I don't want to just take a suspicion and make it full blown accusation or allegation in regards to the situation, because yeah, he did take off his hand wraps, but sometimes, you know, it's a lot going on. It was a big victory. Maybe they just cut off one and didn't cut off the other, but this is going to add fuel to the fire. And then when you talk about that discoloration, maybe he did cheat, but at the same time, we have to make sure that we distinguish between suspicion and actual accusations. You know what I'm saying? Does that require an investigation? I mean, you can investigate if you want to, but I think it was just a mistake of them not removing his hand wrap. And so it looks a little questionable, especially when you get obliterated by the same guy with that same left hand and your Edgar Belanga. So, you know, so with this situation here is with Terence Crawford. Yeah, he's affiliated with Victor Conte. And yes, there's a mistake on this document that he provided, but let's not go overboard. Now, if it would have said like he, you know, if we come back and he fails a test, it's different. I know you're going to say, oh, well, it's VADA associated with Victor Conte and trying to cover it up, so this is the fake thing. But check me out, though. My question is this: if they know how to cover it up, then why would they release a document with the wrong date just to satisfy your suspicion? Because if the test was negative, like it said, whether even if it had the right date, you would have still questioned it, because you would have said, hey, well, this doesn't matter because he knows how to get past the test anyway. So my point is this, right? There's little significance to asking the question if we already have the answer in our head, regardless of what we see. So if you think he's dirty and he passes a test, you're going to think he's dirty anyway. Why does it matter if he passes a test or he fails a test? Because you're going to have the same conclusion in your head anyway. So whether the dates all checked out or not, we got to be honest with ourselves. Would anything suffice for you to believe that Terence Crawford or any other SNAC affiliated athlete was clean? You got to ask yourself that. You see what I'm saying? But in addition to that as well, it's like we always hear about Terence Crawford and Devin Haney on SNAC. You know, Terence Crawford has been severely and significantly amplified once he beat Errol Spence, right? But Errol Spence fought Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia is a SNAC athlete. How come I didn't hear any accusations about him on SNAC? Is it because he lost? So we only care about people who have PEDs in their systems if they lose. I mean, if they win, it doesn't make any sense. So we hear about Devin Haney, we hear about Terence Crawford. I don't hear anything about Mikey Garcia, who's one of my favorite fighters, who's retired. Now, I didn't hear anything about him being on SNAC or accusations of cheating. He's a SNAC athlete. Caleb Sweethands Plant, another one of my favorite fighters. I don't really hear anything about him and his accusations. He's a SNAC athlete. What about Danny Miracle Man Jacobs? What about Sean Porter? What about Clarissa Shields? What about Ivan Redcash? What about Mario Barrios? What about Josecito Lopez? What about all these other fighters? I'm not going to go through the list that you could clearly look up yourself. I don't hear anything about their SNAC accusations or them possibly cheating because they're affiliated with SNAC. So if we're not going to question every SNAC athlete, why are we focused on Terence Crawford and Devin Haney? I can only ask you that. And if you're one of those people that are focused on them, then you got to answer yourself for yourself. Is it really that you care about SNAC and you think every fighter affiliated with SNAC is actually cheating, or you just don't like these two fighters that happen to be associated with SNAC, so that's what you're focused on to to promote everybody, to promote the fact that they could be dirty. You see what I'm saying? So I just think it's a little ridiculous. Does this look suspicious? Yes, I blame Victor Conte. I blame Terence Crawford. Whoever released this information and made that mistake, I blame them, because you got to be careful. You know what I'm saying? You're opening up the opportunity for questions and suspicion when you don't dot your I's and cross your T's to check what you're doing. You see what I'm saying? So they have nobody to blame but themselves. But am I going to go that far and jump out the window and say they're definitely cheating? No. And I'm going to give you another point before I get off. I know this video is kind of long. Sorry about that. But I have a lot to say in regards to the situation. It's like, bro, of course Terence Crawford is going to gain weight and turn it into muscle. He doesn't need to cut. He's moving up 2 weight divisions. Didn't Roy Jones Jr. get significantly bigger when he moved up to heavyweight to challenge John Ruiz? Don't we always talk about fighters potentially being a weight bully, you know, like David Benavidez or even Devin Haney? So that when we call somebody a weight bully, we're acknowledging that most of these fighters that fight in boxing, they don't walk around at the weight that they compete at, right? So their natural weight composition and body composition is much higher than what they actually compete at. So let's look at the facts. The fact is that Terence Crawford coming from 140, 147, 154 and going up to challenge Cinnamon at 168, he doesn't have to do any weight cuts. So of course he's going to look bigger because he's no longer cutting weight in training camp. He's just focusing on turning that extra weight into usable muscle and actual size that he could put to good use, you know what I'm saying? Actually working with that size and adapting to that heavier weight that he has and he's not accustomed to usually having when he goes into the ring. So there's a lot of fighters that are bigger. Even Gervonta Tank Davis, one of my favorite fighters right now, he doesn't walk around at 135, right? You know that, right? They wouldn't call him Tank if he did so. You know, he probably walks around at 150, 160, right? There's a lot of fight. Even Winky Wright, he fought at 154, 160. He walked around at 200 plus. Ricky Hatton, aka Ricky Hitman Hatton, aka Ricky Fatten. Why do you think they called him Ricky Fatten? Because he fought at 140, but it wasn't crazy or outside of this world to catch him on a regular day, and he weighs 200 pounds. That's why they called him Ricky Fatten. You see what I'm saying? So like when you're not cutting weight and you don't have that burden on you, of course you're going to look bigger. Whether you're Terence Crawford, whether you're Roy Jones, whether you're David Benavidez, whether you're, I don't know, Jerome Boots Ennis, whether you're whoever you are, you're going to look bigger when you don't have to worry about a weight cut. There's nothing abnormal or questionable about that or suspicious. Now, I will say the letterhead is suspicious. And there's some people saying that, hey, maybe that date is saying the date that he enrolled. I'm not defending it either. So I think that's kind of silly because just like they told you the date explicitly is the date of the sample collection, they will tell you that this date at the top is for the date that they enrolled, if that's what it's actually for. I think that date is the date that they actually wrote the letter and they just put the wrong year on it. Now, could this letter be fake? Of course, it's 2025. I could make that letter if I wanted to. So it doesn't mean that it's legitimate. You know what I'm saying? Could somebody else have put it out? Could it not have been really Terence Crawford? Of course, all these things are possible. But my question again is if you're going to go off the deep end and ask all these far-fetched possibilities, then that you have to ask yourself, is there anything that Terence Crawford could do that would convince you that he is clean? And I think that the answer would be no, if this is what you're going to conclude from just a different date. You know, you're already looking for something. So like I said, if you think it's something bad, that's on you. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just giving my perspective. I just think it was a mistake on the date. And I think it makes sense that this was actually the date that the letter was written and they just put the wrong year. And if you see the day, which was the 20 something, it came after the 13th or whatever date it was on the actual sample collection date. So that's what I think it is. It explains it for me. And I want to be clear, I have Cinnamon beating Terence Bud Crawford because I think that they're both all-time great fighters, but I think the size differential is going to be too much to overcome for Bud. But I will say this, though. If we're talking about affiliations and associations, well, if anybody was going to be accused of cheating, I think it would be Canelo Alvarez, because not only does he have a history of failing a test with a clenbuterol, but he proved it in court, which will suffice for me. You know, it doesn't suffice for some people. That's cool, but it suffices for me. He also has a history of being affiliated with fighters and that are under his the no boxing no life brand, or no life no boxing brand. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of people that are on Canelo's team, including or affiliated with the team, whether or not they had Eddie Reynoso as a head trainer, that's inconsequential. They're on the no boxing no life brand, right? So under that brand, they had Francisco Rodriguez Jr., who just popped dirty, affiliated with that brand. You had Ryan Garcia, you had Jaime Munguia, you have Julio Cesar Martinez.
Damn. I'm sorry.
I could go on, you know what I'm saying? Luis Nery, Oscar Valdez, I could keep going, you feel me? But you get the point. So I don't think Canelo's dirty, and I don't think Terence Crawford's dirty. But if you're going to think one of them is dirty, I think that the chances are more likely for Cinnamon to be dirty, unfortunately. But I don't think either one of them are. I'm just hoping for a great fight. I just had to address this news real quick because people have been asking me about it. So shout out to the Boxing Talk family, Boxing Talk members. Go ahead and check out the Discord if you're not in there already, because we chop it up all the time. But most importantly, don't forget to smack that like button. But even more important than that, remember, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. Go ahead and let me know in the comments what you think about it. Do you think Terence Crawford is dirty? Do you not trust Victor Conte regardless? Or do you think this was just a mistake like I do? Appreciate y'all, man. From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold, we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.